my mic may be a little loud.
Live from VentureX Studios, it's JP, Kathy, and the crew.
Well, good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Woo, happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Good times. Well, sorry, we had having a little bit of a technical issue here. So today, like Faye and I are actually going to be able to see all of the behind the scenes, like the little camera that we usually look at to know who's on camera, what are y'all seeing, what is the crew seeing. Yeah, so not so much today. It's showing everything that Chambrielle's doing, which we'll just get to see how much more talented she is than we really know.
Right. It's Technical Friday.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
Well, and that is not JP's voice. Do not worry. He has not become a soprano. It is the one and only, the beautiful Faye Curtis. Good morning to you, Faye.
Good morning.
I feel like we need the applause button for that.
Oh.
Faye Curtis, everybody. Yay!
I love it.
Well, we're super excited. She's guest co-hosting for part of the show with me today. Very excited to have her in studio. Of course, y'all saw Faye last week. She's got a new book out, and let's talk just for about a minute about the book right now, and we'll talk about it after we interview Phyllis. But tell us a little bit about your book, and how can people get it?
Yes, my book is called The Two of Us, and the subtitle is called A Sister's Love. So I encourage everybody to go out there to my website. It's www.fayedivineinspirations.com. And right now I'm taking pre-orders. And
I've pre-ordered my book.
Right. She's pre-ordered. JP's pre-ordered. And everybody that was on the show last week has pre-ordered. So I want to just personally say thank you for everybody that's done their pre-orders. I will personally be putting a note in each one of the books that everybody has pre-ordered. Yes.
We knew her when.
Yes. You knew me when. Yes, that's right. That's right. So leading up to that, we have a guest that
super excited about this, guys.
I'll get started with writing, and I will be officially speaking April the 16th and 17th. So
yes, and we're going to talk about this
segue.
Yeah, that's a fantastic segue.
Yes.
We've got. I'm going to let Faye introduce our guest, but we're going to be promoting a women's conference, and this is one of those things you can help by donating.
Yes.
You can attend if you can't attend in person, and there's going to be a cap on that because of
it's
COVID.
100
people.
Of COVID,
Usually,
yes.
it's like a big old
Yes.
shebang. But here's the great thing: unlimited opportunities on Zoom to participate.
Yep.
So
not only Zoom, but you can watch it on Facebook and you can watch it on YouTube.
Well, there you go. The Facebook
So
and the YouTube.
We have to change the world because of COVID, but you know what? COVID doesn't stop us.
No,
So,
absolutely not.
yes.
We're tenacious and we're plowing through. So let's go ahead and if
Yes.
you'll introduce our guest.
So our next guest is our very own Phyllis Jenkins. She is the owner of Powerful Journey, and she is going to educate us on what the Powerful Journey is, how you can, we just have great questions for her. So this time I would like to introduce Miss Phyllis Jenkins.
Good morning, Phyllis.
Good morning, Miss Phyllis.
Good morning. I hear you, but can you see me?
Yes,
we can
ma'am.
we can see you. You'll be able to see Chambrielle, but we can see you, and so can the crew.
Okay. Well,
You look beautiful.
Well, thank you. Right now I don't see anyone, so
Yeah, it's okay. We're having technical difficulties, but we're gonna roll
Oh,
We've got
with
different camera angles today, so just trust that your beautiful face is up on the screen.
Well, thank you. So very excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. Well, let's talk about Powerful Journey and who is this available to? Who when is it? Where is it? How do we go about getting involved?
I have actual questions for you, Miss
Oh
Phyllis.
my goodness, that's right.
I'm prepared.
I was going to say Faye already prepared, and I knew this.
Well, what I will start with is what is the Powerful Journey? And the Powerful Journey exists to help women tell their stories, write their books, and build a profitable brand around both. And we have 5 different programs to help our women to achieve that. The first program is the Speakers Academy, and that's where we help them to turn their life challenging moments, which we've all had, into a life changing message. And they stand at our women's conferences and share those messages, many for the very first time. So that's the Speakers Academy. Then we have the Authors Academy, and that's what Faye just completed. The Authors Academy is where they become published authors, and they launch their books at the conference. Then we have the Power Lift Stories podcast. That's where I am able to bring them on, interview them, sort of like what you're doing with me today, and get them comfortable speaking before the camera and to an audience and sharing their stories. And so then we have the Water Walking Masterclass. That class is for those who have already gone through the Speakers Academy, who've already gone through the Authors Academy, and what they're doing now is actually building a profitable brand around both. And I call them, at this point, we are launching them to become unherpreneurs. Unherpreneurs.
Yes.
See what she did with that.
I
So
love that
clever.
tag. Yes.
Yes. And then we have the Powerful Journey Women's Conference, which Faye just mentioned, we have coming up on April 16th and 17th. And Kathy, this is where the women will shine. They will stand, tell their stories, they'll share workshops around their books, and they will sign their books and sell them. And that's where the Powerful Journey differs from others, in that we don't just help you write your book. We don't just help you become a published author. We don't help you to become a public speaker.
Oh, she froze. She was about to say like the most important part. There oh, wait, can you say that again? You said that we don't just help them become published authors and speakers. What did you say? You froze for just a second.
Okay. After they become the speaker and the public author, we have the annual women's conference where we highlight them. We showcase them throughout the day. It's their day to shine with their messages, their day to shine with their books.
I love that, and I think, Phyllis, what I love about this, and it's so great because Faye and I, we've known each other for years and years, and always support each other in our endeavors. And I think what you see is a lack of women supporting other women. And when we come together, I think we're much more powerful. I think we can be our own glass ceiling sometimes. And so I think if you've got examples that young ladies can look up to, young women can look up to, of women empowering other women, we can change the world for the good, the greater good.
Absolutely, and that is indeed what we're doing. We have our youngest author, Haley, is 16, and she will be showcasing her book on April 16th and 17th, she will have a special teen workshop for the teenagers that are there.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so the conference, it sounds like, Miss Phyllis, it encompasses everyone. You are not left out if you come to the conference.
That's right. And although it's called the Powerful Journey Women's Conference, we have some smart men there too.
Yes. Men, you can come and take notes.
We have our men there supporting us.
I love it how you say, we've got some smart men there.
Right.
Yeah, the smart men are going to go where the ladies are. So there you go.
Absolutely.
They're going to take notes. So, Miss Phyllis, the next question we have for you is, what inspired you to start the Powerful Journey?
Over 10 years ago, Faye and Kathy, I had a wake-up call. I found myself in a hospital room with a pulmonary embolism. I had blood clots in both of my lungs. And my pulmonary specialist came in and he said, "Mrs. Jenkins, you are lucky to be alive." He said that the lady in the other room that has the exact same thing is not going to make it. So after spending 5 days in that hospital, I left there saying, "Okay, God, you took her, but you left me. What more is there for me to do?" And I believe that we all have a story to tell. And so from that, not only did I create a platform to share my own story, but I wanted other women to come and share their life-changing messages as well. And so that is how the Powerful Journey was launched.
That's it. That's incredible. God, obviously, we're all women of faith here talking right now.
Yes.
God, God is there and God is good. And he wanted you to take a lesson from being there. I mean, I'm sitting here saying you had a pulmonary embolism in both lungs. You really rarely hear of people making it past that. I mean, one lung's bad enough, but in both
Kathy,
lungs.
I lost you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
She said, can you hear me, Miss Phyllis?
I don't think she can hear us right now.
All right. So
well, that's an amazing story. So hopefully while we get the audio back up and running, that's a miracle. God intended for her to be here, and thank goodness she's doing something with that gift that God has given her, which is the extension of life.
Yes, the extension of life. Miss Phyllis, can you hear us?
Cheryl, do you want to tell her to go back out and come back in? Okay, so in the meantime, do you want to talk about dates for the conference and how people go about signing up?
Sure.
And I'm going to look. Is there a website that I can put on our feed today?
Yes.
Okay, let's see. I'm going to go Powerful Journey. And do you have dates and everything?
Yes, the date is April 16th and 17th. Is our Powerful Journey Conference. The 16th is a Friday, and on Friday it'll be from 6:30 to 9:30, and on Saturday it will be from 9 to about 3ish. And the good news is we're doing snacks, we're doing lunch. You get the whole shebang, and
love it.
We're doing prizes and giveaways.
Oh, we always love prizes and giveaways. Yes. We always love that. Yeah. Okay, so I've put the website up, and there's a great picture of Phyllis on the front with pom-poms.
Yes,
She's your own personal cheerleader.
She is so great at cheering us on and doing these things. Miss Phyllis, are you back?
Can you tell her to?
I did.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, I tell you what. In the meantime, can you text her and tell her to go out and come back in?
Should I just end the meeting? Well, no, because we have Miss Aggie waiting.
I'll tell her that we'll have her. She's not coming on till 8. Okay, so in the meantime, let's talk about Powerful Journey with you, Faye. How did you get involved with Phyllis? How did this? Is this how you were able to bring this book to fruition?
Yes, I went through the author's class.
Yeah.
And my mother actually she's been a part of Powerful Journey for a couple of years. Her and Miss Phyllis were best friends. And my mom wrote her story and did it. And, after my mother passed, I realized that, hey, I too have a story that I need to get out there. So, if you're listening to this podcast and you feel like you have a story to tell, all of us have a story.
We do. Right. Yeah, you may not want to share it.
You might not want to share it,
but we all have a story. Absolutely.
You have something inside of you that someone needs to hear.
Right.
Someone needs to know that, it's okay. Whatever you're going through, you're going to make it.
Yep.
You're going to make it. So,
and and that's the thing, life is tough. I mean, we've got anybody who's like, oh yeah, life's just easy breezy, and God bless people if that is, they've never had any troubles or turmoils or any loss or devastation in their life. God bless you if you're one of those people. I'm not. I've had loss in my life. I've had devastating times I've had to go through, and I think it makes you stronger if you're able to take what you've gone through and then help someone else. And I think that's what these, like your book's going to be doing, hey, you're not alone.
Right.
And I think that's big.
And not only that you're not alone, one of the things I want to encompass is that relationships are important.
Yes.
You need to make memories, take photos, and cherish them. So
Tell my say that you need to take photos. Yeah, because my kids are like, for goodness gracious sake,
my
Mom,
kids,
it
yeah,
makes
my
them
kids are the
crazy.
same way. Mom, really, it's like
Not another
pose
picture.
for the camera.
Oh,
So,
but
yeah.
but it's important to document and to have these opportunities in life, and I think to be able to share, it must be extremely empowering. Oh, and we've got Phyllis again. Can you hear us now?
Miss Phyllis, can you hear us?
Shoot, I hope she can hear us. Well,
Well, let me text her.
Oh, I think we have audio.
Miss Phyllis,
Can you hear us now?
I can hear you.
Yay!
Hold on one moment. Let me readjust, please.
Success. No worries.
All right.
No
So,
worries.
you know what? Even though we're having technical difficulties, guess what? We're still having fun because we still have Miss Phyllis here, and she's gonna rock the rest of this interview. So Miss Phyllis,
It's Fun Friday, right?
It is, and it's
right,
always
right.
on our show, on JP and I, our show on Fridays. We're always a mess anyway. So just technical difficulties just adds to
right.
it.
And I'm gonna piggyback. If JP was here, he would say it's Wacky Friday.
Yeah.
Wacky Friday. So, Miss Phyllis, I want to get in some good questions for you. I know that you've got the proclamation from the mayor of Plano
Every year.
Love it.
every
That's
year.
Awesome.
So, can you tell us about the nonprofit organization, how people can donate, and what it's like
Absolutely.
to be recognized by the mayor?
Absolutely. One of the reasons that we received the proclamation is because we are touching the lives of so many women, and in more than one way, we reach out into the community with our Powerful Journey scholarships. So we have a local scholarship which is for single moms of a special needs child.
Aww.
And that is how we accept our donations for scholarships. So for those who would like to support our cause and to help these single moms to either finish their degree or go for the first time, you can go to my website, which is Phyllis Jenkins. That's PhYLLIS Jenkins, JENKINS. And there is a scholarship tab and a donation tab. So if you click on either one of those, they will allow you to support our cause. We also have a scholarship for graduating high school seniors whose families would not be able to afford to send them to college for further education. So that's where our passion and our heart lies, to help single moms of special needs children and to help graduating seniors who have that desire to go to school and otherwise would not be able to.
Well, that's amazing.
This
Miss
is
Phyllis.
fantastic.
Let's give Miss Phyllis a applause.
Yeah,
Can we get some hand claps?
Yeah, we
Kimbrell?
need some applause going. That's amazing, Phyllis. I used to be a special education teacher, and let me tell you, there is such a need for people to give a hand up to those who are raising a special needs child. A lot of times, if you're raising a special needs child, that child is most likely going to be with you and then with another family member after you pass, because there's a lot of total dependence in that. Obviously there's group homes and there's different places where you can go depending on the severity, but I think that's huge. I had no idea that you did that. Gosh,
Yeah, see?
I've got a new female hero. I love it.
And if
a
you're
new
out-
shero.
Right,
Okay, there you go.
shero.
Yep.
Let me say this. Once you go to the website and you click on scholarship, there are actual videos of these moms of the special needs children, and there are pictures of them with their child. There's one of our very first mom that graduated. We saw her from beginning to end, and she is in her cap and gown with her precious child beside her. So please go and read their stories. Their testimonials are on the website.
I love it. I'm looking at some of these right now. These pictures, I mean, it's worth just getting on the website, even if you just go and click on the scholarship section. These pictures, I mean, they're worth $1 million. Right. This is amazing.
So, Ms. Phyllis, can you tell, we actually have some live audience. Can you tell us again where they can go to, one, do the Powerful Journey Conference, get their tickets, and then how they can donate and support us as we venture into the conference?
Absolutely. Again, everything is there at phyllisjenkins.com, PHYLLIS, Jenkins, JENKINS.com. If you're interested in any of the programs, the Speakers Academy, the Authors Academy, the Water Walking Masterclass, the podcast, all of that is there, as well as the scholarship and to register for our 2-day women's conference. And again, it's a women's conference, but we have men that attend every year. And I heard you say earlier, because of COVID, it is limited to only 100 in person, but we have a virtual conference experience as well. So no excuse not to attend. Come and support our speakers, our authors. And let me just say that many of these women are speaking publicly for the very first time. They are sharing their stories publicly for the first time. And so what happens there is
I'm
that
so nervous.
it becomes it releases them, it frees them, but it also connects them and their stories to a woman who is sitting in that audience who thought she was the only one going through this.
Exactly.
Testimonial after testimonial of women that have said, this helped me so much. There was, if I may give you one example, there was a woman, one of our speakers, who shared about becoming a widow at an early age and was left with children to raise. And she shared how God gave her strength and community to come around and help her. Well, there was a woman in the audience during lunchtime that found that speaker and said, if you didn't come for anybody else, you came for me today. She shared her story in that her husband had passed and that family members, church members, friends were all telling her, it was 2 years later, telling her, okay, it's time for you to get over it and move on. Oh. This lady shared her struggles. She shared that she had even contemplated suicide. And the two of them were able to connect outside of the conference and started a support group where now this lady is thriving and helping other women. That's just one of many stories that we have.
Yeah.
And you never know. I mean, that's where God is so good. You never know. Somebody who's contemplated suicide has now turned their life around to where they're helping others.
Right.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's just amazing.
So, do we have any comments out there, Kathy? I know you're on live.
Well, it's fun. It's funny. I'm laughing at some of the guys are like, oh, the smart guys are, they're basically dropping their wife off at the door and then they're going to the bar. I know. Well, and I think it's exciting because I think you're going to reach, and I know y'all have always got a big crowd because Faye's told me all about it. But I mean, you've got a chance. I mean, so women from all across the country have an opportunity to tune in, and especially during COVID, you've got, depression is on the rise, suicidal thoughts are on the rise, substance abuse is on the rise, domestic violence is on the rise. There's a lot of people who are suffering silently in their homes. Mm-hmm. So there may be one of your authors, Phyllis, who gets up and gives their testimonial, and they might reach some woman, in some random other state that they would have never reached. And it might change, might change that person's life. So God bless you for what you do. And thank you so much for coming on.
So it happens every single year. We have women, before COVID, we had women flying in for the conference, but now, as you said, they're able to watch it virtually and still have their lives changed.
Yeah.
Right.
So, Miss Phyllis, I know that you are an author as well, and I didn't tell Kathy this, but she wants to do, is it 3 giveaways?
Oh,
I do.
Okay.
I have 3 giveaways
so,
today.
Kathy, what we want to do is, I know we have some people on live. The first 3 women
who comment?
That comment. One thing that they learned from Miss Phyllis. Tell me something they learned from Miss Phyllis today. Will get the book.
I love it. So if we've got some women watching live right now, mention something that has touched your heart that Phyllis has talked about today. And if you're not watching this live, go ahead and comment, because right now we're heavy on men watching, which, well,
that's okay.
We've got Faye and we've got Phyllis on the show, so they're looking good.
They can win the book for their wives.
That's right, because Mother's Day will be here.
Oh, great idea. Yes. Yeah, there's a woman in your life, hopefully.
Miss Phyllis, so you can tell us what they're going to win? Your book?
I will. I have 3 different books. This first one is, can you see it?
Oh, wow.
The first one is From Vision to Victory. And inside the book, there are 26 strategies on how to take your vision to victory. Oh. I interviewed 25 women, because I'm one of the women that's talking in here, but I interviewed 25 other women, and they're sharing their stories in here. And the range is from teenagers on up to mid-adulthood. So this is the first book. It is forwarded by Marshawn Evans Daniels, and a great tool it is. That's the first book.
So that's number 1.
My second book is Just Finish It. How many people start projects, start goals, and never finish it? And so this book helps them to follow through and to cross the finish line with their projects, with their assignments. It's a workbook. You actually work through the book.
Oh, I love that.
All right.
Kathy's I love that. I'm like, okay, I know I'm not eligible, but I think I might be buying that.
You're not eligible, Kathy, but you can still buy it.
Those books they're available on my website or on Amazon as well. And the last book is my first children's book that I wrote.
Oh, look at that.
And I know you had a children's book too.
She is doing
my
it.
grandson, who was 7 years old at the time, is my co-author. And the title of the book is The Librarian's Missing Voice. The Librarian's Missing Voice. And it's a really cute story in that the librarian loses her voice, and this particular student has always wanted to be a detective. And so he sets out to find the librarian's missing voice. Cute story.
I love it. Well, I know we've already got one prize winner. Let me see. Let me pull up her name.
So who's the prize winner?
Let me find this. Okay, we've got Lori Baskin, who says you are her mentor, Phyllis. So Lori is our first prize winner. So I love that. So yeah, leave a comment. Even if you're not watching this live, even if you tune in a little bit later, leave a comment, and you might be one of the ones who gets lucky, and we bring your comment up, and you get one of these 3 prizes.
Right. So we have 2 more books left.
Love it. So keep on commenting.
Yeah, keep the comments coming. You have till the rest of the day, and Kathy will get with me, and we'll get those books out to you.
Absolutely.
You still have time to
sign up
for the Powerful Journey.
And we've got the information to get in touch with Phyllis. And you may have a question. You may be one of those ladies out there that has a book in you, and wants to. Again, I think we all do. It's just, do you want to share your story or not? Do you feel comfortable at this point in your life sharing your story? So if you have a question for Phyllis, you can get in touch with her via the link that we've got here on our Yep, Fred Nord. It does count for you. Fred Nord just
Fred,
got our second.
right.
Yep.
We got
It
number
does.
2.
It does count. So, Fred, I know you know a lady, and you've got a lady somewhere in your life. That would
Congratulations,
like a book.
Fred.
So,
Congratulations,
2 out of
Fred.
3 of our prizes.
And you know
are
what,
gone.
Fred? Valentine's
So
Day is coming up.
Yes.
Yes.
Which
yes.
book? Which book is Fred interested in getting?
We'll find that out. We'll call. I'll go
Okay.
back and forth, and we'll find that out.
Yeah.
Great.
And
Great.
then Susan Schuler said very inspirational. She's our third winner.
Susan Schuler.
So,
yay! So everybody's
it.
having fun, Miss Phyllis. So we got one last question before we end your segment. If there was
Okay.
one thing you wanted everyone to know about how to share their story, what would it be?
First of all, I want to say everybody has a story. And that story is not for you. That thing that you went through it. But now it's time for you to tell others the lessons, the life lessons that you learned from going through whatever that challenge was. Your story can become the resource, the tool in somebody else's survival kit.
Oh,
And so
I
don't
love
sit
that.
on your
I love
story.
that.
Don't take your story to your grave. Share it so that others can benefit from it. And if I may leave with one thing, at our women's conferences, we have a powerful journey mantra. And I have every woman to stand and to repeat this. And I would like to read it and leave it with your listeners
Please
today.
do. Please do.
okay. Kathy,
You know
ready?
my name, but not my story.
Mm.
You see my smile, but you don't see my pain. You know my name, but you don't know my story. So please don't judge me. Don't judge my life. Don't judge my past. Walk in my shoes. Walk the path I have traveled. Live my sorrow. Live my doubts. Live my fear. Live my pain. And live my laughter. Remember, everyone has a story. And when you've lived my life, then you'll know my name and you'll know my story. So my sister, it's time to turn that life-challenging moment into life-changing messages, because your story is indeed for God's glory.
I Phyllis, I love that.
Kathy's speechless
I'm,
over here, Miss
Yeah, I'm
Phyllis.
just, I am blown away. We would love to have you back on the show again. I think you have got such a positive message. I know I feel inspired this morning. Your enthusiasm is contagious. Very much looking forward to this conference. I just,
Are you going to be there live, Kathy?
hopefully,
well,
I'm
look
trying
forward
to
to
work it
meeting
out.
you.
If not live, for sure on Zoom, but I'm going to try to at least make part of it. So I've got to go in and give a standing ovation for my friend
I
Faye.
think you need to clear your schedule, and you should be on there live.
I'm like, I'm trying to work this out, because it sounds like
JP's gonna be there live.
It sounds like a great opportunity, and it just,
Yeah.
I think, and especially nowadays when we're going through so much with this pandemic, I think to be able to spend a day being inspired and being motivated, I think only blessings can come out of that.
And you saw Miss Phyllis with her pom poms.
I love that.
She is actually she's actually a cheerleader at the conference.
I love it. I'm all
yes.
I love cheering the women on, and
That's awesome.
during the conference, there's a lot of fun to be had, as well as in hearing the stories. There's a photo booth where you get to take pictures, whether you are live or not. We have ways for you to partake in that, and we have giveaways. And so again,
called
it's a fun day.
Yeah,
it's a great girlfriend's getaway.
That's wonderful. Phyllis, God bless you for the work you do. We'd love to have you back on the show again. Maybe you can come back on beginning of April so we can get another plug in for the conference.
I would love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so we'll definitely we'll coordinate with Faye and get you back on again. But just thank you for everything you do. You are a blessing. I mean, there was a reason why God kept you around after that double pulmonary embolism.
Yes.
God knew what he was doing.
Yeah, he always does.
Absolutely.
He's good that way.
He's good that way, yeah. So, Miss Phyllis, we want to thank you
you
for being a phenomenal woman and just being the inspiration that everyone needs in their life,
Yes.
Not just during a pandemic, but just being phenomenal in all aspects and all areas and helping the women with special needs children.
Yes, I
and
love
so
that.
if you are out there today and you want a cause to participate to, let us know. Go to the Powerful Journey. You can also, we'll put in the chat on how you can get a hold of Miss Phyllis. And so we're going to keep this journey going.
Absolutely.
We're going to invite her back
Absolutely.
again, and we're going to invite myself back. And thank you, JP, for the So, Miss Phyllis, you have
JP's like, wait, I've lost my show.
Right, yeah, you've lost your show, JP. No, just kidding. I have to work.
We're
so.
teasing.
I'm teasing, JP. So, thank you, Miss Phyllis. We
God
love
bless
you, and we
Yeah,
hope
thank
you have
you
a
so
great
much.
day.
All right.
Thank you as well.
Thanks.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Well, okay, so we're getting ready to have Miss Aggieland, who's another one of our Miss Texas ambassadors on. We're getting her pulled up. This is.
Are you inspired?
Phyllis,
Are you
yeah,
inspired?
I am, and Phyllis is the kind of person I'm real big on women supporting other women, and women's empowerment. I've always been real big on that. I pushed that with my daughter at a young age because I saw, especially with social media, how it starts younger and younger, where women are judging other women unnecessarily and giving other women a hard time. And, there's mom shaming and, breastfeeding shaming and mom shaming and all these different things. And it starts young, well, you didn't do this, or, oh, well, we're all out at the mall and you're not with us. And I told my daughter, very early on, I said, be the kind of woman, be the kind of lady who lifts other women and other ladies up. Don't take and pass judgment on these on your peers, because I think women, because we're in a very unique situation. We're usually end up as a wife and as a mom and all this kind of stuff down the road. Or if you're just starting out in your career, or you're trying to finish school, or you're trying to find your career, there's a lot that goes into that. And so I think other women like Phyllis, I think she serves as such a great example of women supporting women. And there's just not enough of that out there, Faye.
Right.
There's just not, I look, instead of being like, oh, well, Faye wrote a book and, well, God, I could have written a book. I should have done it. You know what? Why not support?
Right.
I'm like, Faye wrote a book. How cool is that? How can we help promote you, kind of a thing? Deanna and I, we'll be your groupies. We'll go on the road with you. We'll hand you the pen to sign autographs with.
That's coming pretty soon. So we're changing the era of women. So we're doing a great job of it, and we want everyone that's out there listening on Facebook land that you too can be empowered as a woman.
Yes, absolutely.
And you know what? Since it's Friday, I want all the women that are online to encourage another woman today.
We're asking you to pay it forward and spread what this message that Phyllis has. As a matter of fact, I want to say hi to Elisa Chastain, who is my co-host for A Heart and Soul of Texas Women, which is a faith-based show where women can use their faith to help encourage and help other women and people in their lives. So, we've got great gals, like we've got Michelle on, we've got Gail on. We've got Lori who had already, and then Lori even said how sweet. She said, give my book to somebody else, I think. And I thought that was so nice.
Wow.
So I've got
paid it forward.
She's paying it forward. So I've got somebody in mind who I know would love the book.
So you know what?
Really appreciate it.
We did our job today. We paid it forward, and we've inspired women. So
and all we had to do was have you in studio and Phyllis on Zoom, and there you go. I knew that would be a recipe for success. I just knew it.
We did.
Well, do we have Miss Aggieland ready to go? Excellent.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Katie Chen.
Hello.
Do we have video for? There we go. And another beautiful, inspirational woman.
Yes.
We've got Katie Chen, who is Miss Aggieland. So, okay, so go ahead, and if you're an Aggie right now, do your whoop or whatever that
I
is.
am an Aggie.
There you
and
go.
That is amazing. I came on the right day, let me tell you.
Oh, I love it. Well, so
And she's all glammed up.
I know, doesn't she look fantastic? She's beautiful. Well, here's what's interesting. I really enjoyed talking with Katie. I'm so fortunate. I get to call and talk to these young women who are our Miss Texas ambassadors, and Katie Chen, Miss Aggieland, who will be competing this summer in the Miss Texas competition. She is one of our Miss Texas ambassadors, and so I get to call these ladies ahead of time and get to know them and talk to them about their platform. And so you see in front of you, I mean, I'm like, oh, did she just come off of like a runway in Paris? Okay, y'all, she's an engineer. So that's what she is studying. So let's talk. Katie, first of all, welcome to JP, Kathy, and the crew. Let's talk about your very unique platform. And this is where whenever anybody says, oh, well, the Miss Texas competition, oh, that's just if you look good. And I'm like, oh, no, it's not. You don't get it. I mean, this is about scholarship money. This is about, again, empowering younger women, that next generation.
Did you plan this, Kathy?
No, it's so funny. Couldn't have planned it better.
Yeah.
I know. So JP's going to be like, oh my gosh, is this like a female empowerment day? Yes, it is. Female Empowerment Friday.
Women take over the radio day.
Well, Katie, let's talk about your unique platform and how engineering and science and all of that comes into play with you as a Miss Texas ambassador.
Okay, first of all, thank you so much for having me today. I'm so excited to be here. And I just wanted to first add on to what you said about being involved in pageants. So I actually saw on the local news that Brazos County was looking to crown a Miss Aggieland, and they were giving out a scholarship for it. And out of sheer curiosity, I Googled the Miss Texas and Miss America organization, and I was absolutely inspired by how the candidates were these generational vocal advocates within their communities. And so growing up in the performance arts world and working to end violence against women and children for so many years, I never thought that there would be a perfect opportunity of alignment in which my work world, academic career, and socially engaged world operated in the same sphere. So I'm so lucky that I found the Miss Texas organization, and I'm so happy to be here. My platform is called Generation She, and it's about closing the gender gap for women in STEM, which starts
Say that again, Katie. Generation She?
She. It's kind of a namesake. Generation Z.
Oh, I get it. Okay, see, so I'm old, so I'm in well into my 50s, so I'm like, oh yeah, like Generation Z. That's so clever. I love it. Thanks, Katie, for helping out an old lady.
Oh, Kathy.
No worries.
Only Kathy.
Oh goodness.
I'm doing the JP. Oh,
shaking her head, just like JP shakes his. Oh, well, so tell us about, so you are an engineering major, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So what do you plan? So, moving past Miss Texas and graduation and all that good stuff, what do you plan on doing with your life?
So I'm planning on going into management consulting, which is also a very male-dominated field. And I would love to continue my advocacy, and no matter what I do. The thing about my platform is that the gender disparity in STEM fields has been widely recognized, but there have been very few initiatives that have been established at a younger age when girls decide in their formative years what they want to pursue as a career. And so these persistent subconscious images of male mathematicians and scientists start at such a young age that there's a need for young girls to have access to relatable female mentors. I personally believe that many girls grow up thinking they don't have an inclination for math or science, and it results in a fixed mindset, which is the idea that intelligence is static. But it's important for us to approach our youth with a growth mindset. And that's the idea that intelligence can be developed. And only when they recognize this can they learn to embrace challenges, find inspiration in the success of others, and persist in the face of setbacks.
Well, and I think that this is such an important message because you're right. This is, I grew up now, and math was not my gig at all. It still is not. Everybody's like, no, no, duh, Kathy. But I just wonder if there would have been more emphasis on empowering young girls. I'm talking about very young, like in kindergarten and first grade, that maybe I wouldn't have had. I mean, because it was. It was not my area of expertise, but I also had, like, I remember going into Algebra 1. I remember going into geometry. And I just remember automatically sitting down in the classroom, getting the book and feeling defeated already. And there was nothing to tell me otherwise. Now my parents tried to help me. I would go for tutoring, but I had such a mindset of, I'm going to be lucky if I get out of here and pass. And that's a shame,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, Katie, you said something that was kind of interesting that I want you to elaborate on. You said that it's a dominant world, the field that you're going into. So, how do you feel inspired? How do you inspire yourself to keep going?
I inspire myself to keep going because I want to be an example for other young girls that they can achieve anything they want to. And I volunteer with lots of programs and work with lots of programs that empower our youth in STEM. For example, Girls Star is an all-girls after-school program led by girls, and it was the first insight I had to this systemic belief of girls that they don't belong in STEM. And in our initial research, when girls were asked to draw a picture of a scientist, 90% of them across the board drew a picture of a man. And that's really sad to me.
Wow.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wow.
That's fascinating. So, usually when you're, okay, I remember being a kid and they would say, hey, everybody draw a picture of your pet's veterinarian or, of a veterinarian. I would have drawn a female veterinarian with, puppies and kitties everywhere. But then you're saying when it comes to draw a scientist, even the girls draw a male.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So how do you change that, Katie?
We can change that by advocating for women in STEM, dispelling stereotypes, ensuring that males are allies to us, and dispelling misconceptions about engineering, that you have to be really good at math and that this is only a workplace that males can succeed in, which is not true. And I want to say that it's really important for males to be allies to us. I think when men hear gender equity and diversity, they often think it's a women's issue. And even if they want to help, they don't necessarily know what their role in it is. Because they've been part of a system that's colonially worked in their favor, it's important to question it and how it may be designed to help women thrive. So one way men can be allies is by being engaged, listening, and not making assumptions. And there's another bucket of allyship that is the public system side of allyship. And this means disrupting things in the workplace that hold women back. An example of this would be breaking standard paralysis and speaking up when something is not okay, speaking up against sexual harassment, or advocating for policies and procedures that are not good for women.
Well, and I think all of those are such important messages, Katie, and we appreciate you bringing this out and about. And I think this helps, we talk about dispelling the myths of beauty pageants, and especially the Miss Texas and Miss America organization, which are very heavily based on scholarship. I mean, this is a way, all of the different Miss Texas ambassadors and the Miss Texas winners that we've had on our show for almost the past 5 years are have been like, this is why I was able to get my master's, or this is why I was able to finish my undergraduate degree. And I think that that's being very much highlighted through your platform, because you're talking about education. And I think it's so important, like you said, to get to those young girls while they're in early elementary school, before they have that opportunity to think, oh yeah, math, I'm not very good at that, that's for boys.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, Katie, so we
Definitely.
have listeners, and if you had to tell some of your young listeners that are, probably in the same school that you're in, or any college, what would you say to them if they are listening to you and going, you know what, I too can be what you are? What would you say to them?
I love that you asked that question, because I
Thank
would
you.
tell them that to be a girl is to be infinite. When I was growing up, I was heavily involved in the arts. I was always at dance class, always in musical theater, and always at drawing class. I mean, the arts were my absolute passion. And it heavily informed the way I looked at my identity. I saw it as a way I could make a statement to the external world and constantly expand myself. So my teacher in middle school saw that I had this propensity for learning, and she asked me if I wanted to sign up for a STEM summer camp. And I said, sure, why not? Because I was the kid that would try anything. And as I was standing on stage at the end of the summer showcase, holding up the oscillator circuit that I had made and explaining how capacitors, excuse me, worked as a sixth grader, I had this moment of lucidity, and I realized that not only was I capable of being an engineer, but this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
I
So I
love
would tell,
that. And wait, say what you were holding up again, because I'm like, wait, the what? And the what? The flux capacitor? What? What were you
Oh,
holding up?
Kathy.
I know. She's like, what movie is that from? Wow.
um, so when capacitors and resistors are connected together, the resistor resists the flow of the current that can charge or discharge the capacitor. And it's a very basic principle of electrical engineering that we teach in these STEM programs, and that, girls that are going into engineering will learn in their first year.
I love it. Well,
Yeah.
thank you
Oh, I see
so
she has her
much.
little
She has her sash
sash
on.
on.
Oh, yes,
We
we're
can't
all
see your
official.
sash.
Yes, stand up a little bit so we can see your Miss Aggieland sash.
Oh, I'm actually wearing my Miss Ambassador
Oh, well,
sash.
let's see that. Well, let's see that one.
There we go.
I love it. Yay.
Wow.
Well, thank you
Go,
so much.
Katie.
Yeah, Katie, you're just such an impressive young lady, and we wish you nothing but the best, and hope to have you back on the show maybe before the Miss Texas competition.
And when is that?
Is that in June this year?
Yes, ma'am. It's June 20th to 26th, and
Yay.
I would love to come back. I really enjoyed talking to you two ladies.
Aww.
Well, thank you. Well, we've enjoyed having you on. You are just such a breath of fresh air. Have a blessed weekend, and thank you so much for all you do.
And we will be cheering you on. We will be cheering you on.
Have a good one. Thanks, Katie.
You too.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Miss Aggieland, and what an important message that she has. All of our Miss Texas ambassadors have just been so impressive. They such unique backgrounds, and again, kind of like you and Phyllis were talking about, they're using their unique stories
Platforms, yes.
to turn it into, instead of a book, in this case, a platform, so they can go into these elementary schools and junior highs and high schools and influence young kids for the positive.
And it's about changing the mindset.
It is.
She's starting.
It
So
is.
Congratulations, Katie, for just going out and installing in young ladies
Yeah.
that they too can be an engineer, or you too can be a mathematician, or
right,
you can
or
be whatever you
scientist,
want.
whatever you want. Yeah, sky's the limit. And I
Right.
think that's one of those things that some of those things, and what I love about what Phyllis said earlier is, you can be in the audience and you can have contemplated suicide or have just these horrible thoughts in your head, and you can turn it around for the positive. She's talking about getting to these young ladies early.
Right.
And STEM and this is what I love, about the STEM and the STEAM programs that are out there in these schools. And both of my kids have gone to project-based learning STEAM school. And I think it makes a big difference. As a matter of fact, Dr. Rebecca Good of the Ask Dr. B. Good show, which will air Sunday from 8 to 9, a great show this Sunday. She has 2 STEM campuses, and it is changing. You can see it's slow but sure. You can see the change between the back the way it was when I was in school and the way it is now. Young ladies are not not turned away from sciences and maths.
Okay.
They're big time into that. Oh, and it's Faye, before you leave, thank you so much for being on. We appreciate you so much. I know you've got a bus to move to work and open up the office and all that kind of good
If anybody
stuff.
knows, it's accounting. I'm in the accounting world, and it's the end of the month, so I got
So
to roll
good
out.
times. Well, thank you so much. And so,
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Faye. And then we'll have you back on again, and we want to have Phyllis back on again, definitely to talk about the conference. So again, thank you, Faye, and have a blessed
And
week. Love you,
all
my
the
friend.
women on there, pay it forward today.
Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. All right, well, thank you so much. We're getting ready to have Lathan Watts come on. But just if you are just now tuning into the show, go back and watch our interview with Phyllis Jenkins of Powerful Journey. Absolutely inspirational. And then we were just so fortunate to have Miss Aggieland, who is one of our Miss Texas ambassadors, on. And then, of course, thank you to my dear friend and JP's dear friend, Faye Curtis, who is just such a wonderful woman, so supportive of the friends and family in her life. If you're part of Faye Curtis's world, you're a very blessed person. And she's got a book, and we encourage you to pre-buy that book. As a matter of fact, I'll put that link here as well. So, but Lathan. What? Okay, so do you have 5 hours? I know. Okay, so we've only got 30 minutes with Lathan this morning, and Lathan Watts of First Liberty. Now, he'll have his First Liberty hat on for some of the talk, and then we may have to take that hat off and talk for a few other things because there's so much
just a few things going on. Yeah.
My goodness, it's just, I think it was just like 2 or 3 weeks ago that you were on the show, and just... God, that much can change in a short amount of time? Well, it can. So I know, and those members of the crew who have been with us for a long time, Lathan's part of our family here at JP, Kathy, and the crew, and he has updated us on just some of the most crucial religious liberty cases with the Supreme Court of the United States, and as SCOTUS, as a lot of people refer to it, and these are things that impact our very basic freedom of religious worship. And one of those huge cases, and this case really speaks to me as a former teacher and a former drill team coach. I would have all my girls pray before we went out and performed at halftime. I was scolded, but nothing like what Coach Kennedy went through. This case just... it always has me on the edge of my seat, and I'm always praying for this man because I think what First Liberty is trying to do with Coach Kennedy is crucial to the survival of religious liberty in this country.
Yeah, it really is. It started almost 6 years ago now. Coach has been going through this.
Yeah.
He was a football coach in Bremerton, Washington, who spent 20 years in the Marines before becoming a coach, and really got into coaching because he wanted to help kids who sort of had a rough time of it, like he did as a kid.
Yeah.
And he was up late trying to decide whether or not he was going to take the job before he even took the job, and was kind of channel surfing and came across a movie called Facing the Giants, a little Christian film about football, and that sort of he took that as God sort of telling him, this is what I want you to do. And so he made a commitment to God that if he got the job, that after every game, win or lose, he would go to the middle of the field and take a knee and say a little prayer to thank him for the opportunity to coach.
Right.
And he did that for 6-7 years, I think.
Yeah. And no issues.
No one ever complained.
And he did. It's not like he looked at his football team and said, y'all have to come out with me. This is his personal commitment to the Lord.
Right.
That's it.
And over time, some people saw what he was doing, and some of the kids came up to him and said, "Hey, can we come
I
with
join
you?"
Yeah.
And he told him it's a free country. You can do whatever you want to
Exactly. Or
Some
at
of
least
his
we think it's a
players-
free country. So.
do. Right. Some of
Yeah.
his players, said, "Hey, I'm not religious. Do I have to go?" Of course not.
No. Yeah.
So over time, what happened was he would go to the knee for like 15, 30 seconds, say his prayer, and when he got up, there were still players out there.
Right.
And he would just give kind of a post-game pep talk
Right.
sort of thing to
Which
the
is
players.
completely normal. Everybody who's coached any kind of anything from or directed anything from band to cheer to debate to football to basketball, baseball, whatever
Right.
lacrosse, whatever it is, track. Coaches, that's what you do.
Yeah, and the talks that he gave afterwards became so popular, even players from the other team started hanging
And I
around.
love that. Yeah.
And so he would do his thing, take his knee,
Yep.
do his thing, stand up, and then come talk to the players. And, this is Bremerton, Washington, right outside of Seattle.
Yep.
Not exactly the buckle of the Bible Belt.
No,
Okay.
a little bit more liberal up there, but still.
But even up
yeah.
there, no one ever complained about what he was doing.
No.
In fact, it was another school administrator who complimented him to somebody at Bremerton that even alerted Bremerton as to what was going on. So it was a compliment.
Interesting. Okay.
So when
I
they
didn't even know
when they
that.
heard about it, they told initially I think they told him you can't pray with the players, and all of this stems from their fear over violating the Establishment Clause.
Yeah.
Okay, so that
And
really,
explain the Establishment Clause to
first
people who are
clause
new
of the
to hear
First
this
Amendment
case.
says Congress will make no law respecting the establishment of a religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Now it's pretty simple. The original intent of the Establishment Clause is there's not going to be an official church in the United States of America. You're not going to be taxed to support a church. You're not going to be forced to worship in any way.
Well,
You're
and
not gonna
hence the reason America came to be.
Right.
I mean, it's very basic. Yeah.
Right. But over time, it takes, lawyers and judges to complicate the simple. And over time,
Oh yeah. No offense to the lawyers out there, but
yeah, over time, the Establishment Clause has been broadened to the point where it was actually infringing upon the Free Exercise Clause. And that's really what this case is about. Out of their fear of violating the Establishment Clause, they told Coach initially, you can't pray with the players. And he said, well, that's okay, because this is my commitment. It's my prayer. No problem.
Right.
Then, after that, when he continued doing what he was doing, then they told him, actually, you can't pray at all and on the field after games. And he's like, well, that is going to be a problem because I made a commitment to an authority much higher than you.
yes.
And Coach is a Marine,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he was polite about it, but he just basically said, look, I got to do what I got to
Right.
do. You do what you have to do.
right.
And they told him if he did it again, he would be, it would cost him his job. And he did it. He had to. He didn't, it was a matter of conscience for him. And that's really what the Free Exercise Clause is about. Your right to live according to your own conscience. For people of faith, that conscience is informed by
Absolutely.
religion. For others, it may be informed by something else, but everybody still has a right to live according to what they believe.
Right.
So that's what he did. They fired him. We went initially to, I think, the EEOC in Washington. They issued a right to sue letter, so we sued the school district and federal district court. District court ruled against us, so we went to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals,
Right.
which is the most liberal circuit
I was going
in
to say
America.
extremely liberal.
So
Yes.
we didn't really expect to win at the
Right.
Ninth Circuit, and we didn't,
Right. Right. You're all right.
as expected.
yeah.
So we appealed to the United States Supreme Court. Now, here's where it kind of gets into some of the legalese, but this is also why this case is so much bigger than just Coach Kennedy.
Yes.
When we appealed to the Supreme Court, we filed the appeal on free speech grounds, not free exercise of religion grounds, because there is an old Supreme Court case called Employment Division versus Smith that basically gutted the free exercise clause when it
Right,
comes to
right.
it lowered the court's scrutiny so low towards government action that it's almost impossible to win a
Right.
claim on free exercise grounds. So we filed it as a free speech case. Now, the Supreme Court they conferenced, they discussed the case several times, and
Right.
then they finally denied cert, basically saying we're not going to take the case. But they did something extremely rare in that there was actually a little opinion attached to the denial. So the Supreme Court denies thousands of cases every term. There's
Well, you've talked about that. I mean, what's the percentage of cases?
about 1% that they take.
So yeah. So you've got such a low. There's a very low chance of the Supreme Court even, addressing
Right.
your case.
So, they don't have time to explain why they don't take 7,000
Right.
cases.
Right.
But in this case, there was technically it was a concurrence with the decision to deny the case.
Right.
And it was written by Justice Alito, but also signed on by Justice Kavanaugh, Justice Thomas, and Justice Gorsuch.
Right.
So there's 4 names on this opinion, and that's important because when they vote on whether or not to take a case, if 4
Right.
justices vote to take the case, then they take it.
Then they take it.
So this was extremely rare. It's got 4 justices' names on it.
Right.
And they basically explained that they felt like there were some things on the record all the way back at the district court, some factual issues that weren't clarified enough.
Right.
And if they took it right now, the Supreme Court would likely get bogged down in the facts and have to issue a very, very narrow, fact-specific ruling. And that's not what you want the Supreme Court to
Right.
do. You want them to answer the big First Amendment question.
Absolutely.
And then they went out of their way to criticize the Ninth Circuit's opinion, saying they found the Ninth Circuit's interpretation of the First Amendment extremely troubling.
Yeah, which is again rare. Yeah, so these
Exactly.
are all really big
Yeah.
deals in this story
And
as
just
it
this
unfolds.
exactly, and just this little short opinion, and then I think it's actually the very last sentence of the opinion. They dropped this little bombshell where they said, "We see, this was brought to us as a free speech matter when the petitioner clearly has a free exercise claim. Perhaps that's because of previous decisions by this court, which we have not yet been asked to review." And that's Justice Alito basically doing everything but including an eye wink emoji.
Yeah, like
to say,
wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
bring this
yeah.
back because we want to address
we want to
employment
address it,
division
right.
versus Smith. We
Right.
want to get rid of that old case and get back, to the
Right.
And so we used that little opinion sort of as our, playbook.
Absolutely.
Pardon the pun, for Coach Kennedy. And so we went back to the district court. We got those factual questions clarified better. But the district court is still bound by the Ninth Circuit's opinion, so
Right.
they still rule against us. So we went back to the Ninth Circuit. So just Monday, we argued the case in front of the Ninth Circuit again. So 6 years later, we were back at the
right
Ninth
back
Circuit.
where, yeah.
We don't expect the Ninth Circuit to really rule in our favor.
It's still a very liberal court.
Our
Yes.
three-judge panel that we were in front of on Monday had a Bush appointee, a Carter appointee, and a Clinton appointee.
Yeah.
That's the 3 judges
Yeah.
we got. And the Bush appointee, if I remember this correctly, actually before he was a judge, represented school districts as an attorney.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
so this will likely lose again at the Ninth Circuit.
Right.
What's going to be interesting is how they write the opinion, because they even mentioned during oral argument the note that was signed on by 4 Supreme Court justices
It would
who
seem
were
like
interested in the case.
if I'm a circuit court judge and I'm looking at something that somebody from the 4 people from the the Supreme Court of the United States has written, I'm going to reference that at some point.
You can. The Ninth Circuit does not want to recognize. They don't want Coach to win. No judge likes having their rulings overturned.
Right.
But they clearly don't see the First Amendment the way we see it.
That everybody else sees
Exactly.
it. Yeah.
And what is
Again,
going
this
to
is Coach. Lathan, he was not. It wasn't like he was taking the whole team out there.
No. No,
This is what baffles me. It was an individual. Okay, so if he would have been if he would have done this in the school parking lot, would he have been?
Their original decision, their opinion was basically said that because he engaged in religious activity and people could see him do it, that somehow was a violation of the Establishment Clause. That the reasonable observer would see him there with his Bremerton coach's shirt on and think he's speaking on behalf of the school district, and therefore that's religious speech on behalf of a government entity, and that somehow establishes the official church of the United States of America.
So I'm a teacher and I'm in the cafeteria. I'm speaking from somebody who used to
Right.
do this. I would sit down to eat lunch, and I was in plain sight, and I was at the teacher's table. But
Right.
kids can see you, other teachers can see you, and I'm Catholic, so I would do the sign of the cross,
Right.
say my prayer, sign of the cross, and then eat every day that I was eating in the cafeteria.
If you lived in the Ninth Circuit, according to their opinion, you can't do that.
And so then I've got to choose between. I would have had to have chosen between a job I love and
your religious
and
beliefs.
God, who I love.
Exactly. And this
thanking God
country-
that I've got food, at lunch.
Exactly. And this country was founded on the principle that no one should ever have to make that decision.
Exactly.
That if the Establishment Clause and the Free Exercise Clause mean anything, it is that government should never get in the way
Right.
between a person and their God.
Right.
And no one should ever have to make that decision. That's the decision that the coach had to make.
Yeah.
And he did what he had to do. And that's why we're
We're
proud to be his attorneys.
Right.
Frankly.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
6 years
what,
later.
What an amazing man. Yeah. So where does this go? So obviously the Ninth Circuit Court, say that 10 times fast, they referenced what the Supreme Court justices noted. Mm-hmm. Where does that leave y'all? What's the next step?
So we have to wait now for the Ninth Circuit's opinion. So
About how long will that be?
There's no way of knowing, really.
Okay.
I mean, I think it may take them a while because I think they will likely try to craft an opinion that avoids giving the Supreme Court a reason to take the case.
Well, yeah.
Because
most likely.
Because of the potential that they will use the case not only to get his situation resolved, but also to fix Employment Division versus Smith.
You're right. This is so much bigger than, I mean, and again, I would love to see a win, for Coach Kennedy for standing up for what he believes in and losing his job as a result of that. But you're right. This sets a precedence.
And the thing about
so many other people in this position.
The thing to remember is that the reason we have a Religious Freedom Restoration Act at the federal level was because of the Employment Division versus Smith case. When that opinion came out, people were so shocked about how low they had lowered the bar. When I talk about this, it's like the way the courts analyze government action that impacts religion. And they had lowered the bar for government so low that Congress actually passed a law to reinstitute basically the highest level of scrutiny on these things. Now, get this. You want to know how far we've come? This bill was carried in the House by then Congressman Chuck Schumer.
Right.
It was championed in the Senate by Ted Kennedy.
Right.
It passed almost unanimously and was signed into law by Bill Clinton.
Wow.
That's the reason we have that law, was because of that Employment Division versus Smith case. Now, fast forward to now, and you have people in Congress talking about getting rid of the Religious Freedom Restoration Act.
Yeah.
So if you want to know why it's so important that the court takes this case and gets rid of Smith, is because if Congress gets rid of the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, but the Supreme Court gets rid of Smith, then you're still right back where you should be.
Right.
The court's level of scrutiny is where it is, regardless of whether or not they get rid of RFRA.
Right, and we've
Congress.
got a very different, administration in the White House now. Congress and Senate look the way they look. So you've got to be so careful because, again, if you don't go back to the Founding Fathers, and we've talked about this before, Lathan, on the show, were brilliant. I mean, just to be able to put into terms and stand up for these basic freedoms that all Americans should enjoy. Then my question is, then next, can somebody tell me that my family can't pray before our meal at a public restaurant? We're at, and I guess I won't name any chains or anything because then I'll probably get in trouble for that. But you're at a local restaurant that has restaurants all over the country, and you're praying with your family. Is somebody going to come over? My server's going to say, "I'm sorry, y'all can't do that here," because then that means, just say we're at Chili's. You're not that they've said anything. I've prayed in Chili's before with my family, and nobody stopped me. But can they say, "Well, that's representing what Chili's says, and they're a private sector company, and you can't do that"? I mean, you don't know where it's going to end.
Right. Well, I mean, one of the questions about the Ninth Circuit's original opinion, because when you're dealing with the First Amendment, you're talking about government.
Right.
That's who the First Amendment protects you from. But under that reasoning, if anybody can see this government employee do that, then the question is, could Coach Kennedy say that prayer at a restaurant if he's wearing his Bremerton coach's shirt?
Yeah.
Because people, according to the Ninth Circuit, would see this government employee engaged in prayer and assume he's speaking on behalf of the district. So, I mean, these are fundamental questions of what kind of society we're going to have.
They're basic fundamental questions about freedom.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if you start taking away these freedoms that we share, and especially, and again, we go back to religion being just, a basic fundamental, right for us to, pray to that higher authority. And what I love about First Liberty is y'all don't just take Christian cases.
Right.
I mean, if you've got a Jewish deli owner, if you've got whatever the case may be, y'all take all religious freedom. This is all religious liberty for all. At the end of the day, then we're not even America anymore if we can't walk around and especially be in a position where maybe you work for a city or you work for a county or you work for the state or you work for an ISD. If you can't walk around and still have those rights as an individual, we don't look like America anymore.
Yeah, it's the reason it's so fundamental. I think the reason that it ended up as the first freedom protected in the First Amendment is because, if government's allowed in the space between man and God,
yes,
then what limit is there? I mean, if government can force you to violate your own conscience, then are they going to think twice about taking your guns away? The Second Amendment, quartering troops.
It's a slippery slope, my friend.
Searching you without a warrant, the Fourth. Making you testify against yourself, the Fifth. I mean, just pick your favorite of the rest of the Bill of Rights.
Yeah,
if government can get away with this,
you're right.
Then what can they not
And
do?
that's a really, really good point, Lathan, because there are people who, there may be somebody, tuned in right now or somebody who watches this show later who's like, well, religious liberty isn't my gig. I'm a secular humanist or what? It's one of those things out there. You're an atheist or whatever floats your boat. And you're like, but this isn't about me. I'm not worried about this. Well, okay.
It absolutely is about you.
Are you worried about any of these things? Because if government can come in and veto your opportunity to worship the way you choose, then what? There's no stopping anybody.
Right. I mean, and this is before you get to the rest of the Bill of Rights. Religious liberty is about you, whether or not you're religious. Because even Thomas Jefferson, who was by far not the most devout of the founding fathers,
and very open and wrote about it, and yes,
he referred to religious liberty as the right of conscience. He used those terms interchangeably.
Yep.
So if you're not religious, this is what you should hear when you hear me talk about religious freedom. You should hear the words right of conscience.
Yes.
Because even if you don't have religious beliefs, you have some set of beliefs you live your life by.
Right.
Everybody does.
Right.
And you have the right to live according to them. I was just speaking to a group last night that was, mostly libertarian, and I made this point to them. I was like, look, whatever, shapes your worldview, it doesn't really matter to me.
Right.
Maybe it's the way your parents were raised. Jordan Peterson's very popular right now. Maybe it's Jordan Peterson. I don't really care if it's Jordan Peterson or Kim Kardashian. Yeah. Actually, I do care if it's Kim Kardashian.
Yeah. Well, wait a second.
We'll get you the help you need. But the fact is, you have a right to live according to those beliefs. And what the First Amendment, the reason First Amendment is so important right now in our culture, there are traditional religious beliefs that cross a lot of different religions on certain issues that are very unpopular in our culture right now.
Right.
And that's what the First Amendment's really supposed to do. Popular opinions don't need protection.
Right.
It's the unpopular opinions that need protection.
And you want somebody, even if you don't agree personally, you want somebody to stand up for those beliefs. If not, it's going to hit you one day. I've remember, and you and I have talked about this back. Whether you're in favor of gay marriage, against it, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that the Supreme Court took that choice away from the different states, and so the 10th Amendment was kind of out the window. And I told my kids, I said, well, okay, we've got a bearded dragon, a little lizard, big lizard now. I said, what happens if 9 people and 5 of those 9 people decide right now, you know what, we don't think that's a domesticated pet anymore, and so let them out in the backyard, front yard, street, whatever, it doesn't matter. And they're not going to survive if they've been taken care of by people, and that's that. So again, I was like, you don't ever want your voice to be taken away, even if you think this is great, even if you think that's great, even if that all sounds good, because one day it's going to be something that's near and dear to your heart or to your family or to your personal situation or to your life, and you can't get those freedoms back once they go away.
Right. Yeah. We like you said, we represent people of all faith.
Right.
I don't agree with the religious beliefs of everybody that we represent. I mean, we differ theologically on things.
That's okay. It's
But-
free country.
Exactly.
So far.
It's not for me to say
Yeah.
whether or not
Not your place to
that
judge.
belief is
Yeah.
valid or not.
Right.
I'm a Christian. Coach is a Christian. There are probably lots of viewpoints on what happened to Coach
Right.
Kennedy. That if you, as a Christian, were in that position, you might arrive at a different decision that said, you know what, I don't have to do
Right.
this. That's okay, but it's not for you to judge or me to judge that Coach arrived at a different decision.
Right.
And it is certainly not the government's position
No, not at
to
all.
make a decision as to whether or not that is a valid religious belief that he
Right.
must adhere to.
Right.
So we can differ on theology. We can differ on what the quote Christian response to something
Right.
should be. But the First Amendment protects my right to live according to that decision that I arrive at, and yours, even if those two decisions are different.
Yep.
And if I don't
so
respect your
well
right to do
stated.
that, then I lose my right to do
Yeah.
that.
And that's so true. And I hope, especially if there's somebody who's younger or somebody who doesn't think this is an important case, I hope they hear what you're saying, because that, at the end of the day, it comes down to the fundamental. Either you believe in your right to do what you want for yourself, whatever that may be, as long as you're not breaking the law or hurting somebody else, or not. And I've got a question, and I've always wanted to ask this. Fred says, what has the coach been doing since this started? Has he been coaching somewhere else?
No.
Wow.
He hasn't coached in, I think it's like 7 seasons now.
I just think of all those kids whose lives he didn't get to impact in such a positive way, because obviously he loves what he does.
Yeah.
Obviously he loves those kids. And then what those kids missed out on because they didn't have him as a coach.
Yeah, there's we have a video series at First Liberty called First Liberty Live. And so if you go to firstlibertylive.com, there's
Right.
videos there, and there's a new one about Coach Kennedy that we just sort of did, kind of reset everything to
Right.
leading up to the Ninth Circuit argument. If you really want to see, the personal side of Coach, what this really means to him, go watch that video. And listen to him talk about exactly what you just said.
Yep.
The players' lives he didn't get to be a part of.
Yeah.
And
you can you can tell it's gut wrenching for him.
yeah.
It's gut wrenching for him. Well, because when you're a teacher, and especially when you're in a position where you're a coach and you spend tons of time with these kids, you never know the impact you can have. And people who love what they do and love the kids that they mentor and coach usually have a huge impact on those kids. And
That was the reason
you
that
just take it all away.
that he took the job.
Yeah.
He was he'll tell this story, like he got out of the Marine Corps for 20 years, went back to his hometown in Bremerton, trying to figure out what he wanted to do.
What do I do now? Yeah.
He was out jogging, had a Bremerton football shirt on, and a guy in a pickup truck pulls up and stops and says, "Hey, did you play football for Bremerton?" He's like, "No, I went there, but I wasn't big enough to play."
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, would you be interested in helping out the football team?" And Coach is like, "I know nothing about football."
Sure.
He actually told the guy, like, I know nothing about football. And what the guy told him, and this was sort of, the way Coach tells it, it's kind of God answered his prayer as to what to do. The guy told him, he's like, "I got guys for X's and O's. What I really need is somebody who can help with these kids."
Yeah.
Because a lot of them are coming from rough backgrounds. A lot of them don't have dads. I need somebody to kind of help build.
A positive male role model.
Exactly.
Which, my goodness, if society has ever needed positive male role models, it's now.
Yeah.
It's now.
So that was sort of the answer to Coach's prayer,
Yep.
according to him, was, okay.
I can make a difference.
I can do that. Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
And that's why he started in the first place.
Yeah. Well, will you please keep us updated on this?
Certainly.
Of course, I'm like, okay, 30 minutes went by. And we didn't even get time to talk about Biden. Okay. You'll have to come back and we'll have to talk about other things going on. But thank you so much. And then
Happy
how
to do
can
it.
people donate? Because again, so Coach Kennedy, while he hasn't been able to continue coaching, has not had to pay a dime for his legal expenses. How do people donate to First Liberty?
Go to firstliberty.org.
Okay.
Right at the top of the page, there's a donate button. You can click there. It's right next to the Get Legal Help button. So hopefully you never need our help, but if you do, that's where you can let us know what's going on, and we'll get in contact with you there.
Excellent. Thank you, Lathan. Great job as always to the crew. Y'all have a blessed weekend. Thank you to Faye for coming in studio and guest co-hosting with me, and to Phyllis Jenkins. complete inspirational woman. Just encourage you to go back and watch her interview. And then thank you to Katie Chen, Miss Aggieland. And we will see y'all Monday. And thank you to Shambrielle, as always, for doing a great job with the show, even with some technical issues. She's a magician. She's a rock star. She's good. All right, y'all have a great day. Have a blessed day. And see y'all Monday. Love y'all.